You know, as a kid growing up, one of my favorite shows was Mr. Rogers. I should love Mr. Rogers. And actually, at one point, I was a board chairman for the March of Dimes in Tennessee, and I was fortunate enough to join a group of other March of Dimes volunteers to go to Capitol Hill and talk to our political leaders about advancing things that would help the March of Dimes cause. Well, they had a big conference, and the keynote speaker, it was in Pittsburgh, of all people, was Mr. Rogers. And it is to this day one of my favorite keynote speeches. For one reason, because it was a 9-minute speech. 9 minutes. But another reason is that he talked about your foundation for your journey as a volunteer for March of Dimes is really key. Well, today I want to talk to you about that very same concept, your foundation. And there's an exercise I want you to do. It's pretty simple to do, but I found it can be pretty profound in how it helps people think about leadership. I want you to take a few moments to develop a list of a few of your favorite supervisors from past jobs, coaches you've had, or even teachers from any phase in your life, elementary school, high school, college, whatever. And once you've identified who those favorite people are, I want you to take some time to really think about what are their most common and compelling traits. Here's something I found to be true. More often than not, you're going to learn a lot about yourself, and you're going to learn a lot about why you believe the way you believe when it comes to leadership. See, one of the things we find is this. When you get a clear foundation for your leadership philosophy, it helps you have a lot of clarity. And clarity is something I think we all would agree that we want every leader to have, regardless of the industry they're in. Secondly, I think taking this step will help you start to really uncover and focus on your gifts. Because it's really the gifts that God has given you that ultimately sort of separate you from everybody else. And then last but not least, what I'm hoping will happen as you take this step to do this simple exercise is you'll begin to see some opportunities that might exist for you in your current role or maybe other roles in the future. So let's talk about it. As we talk about foundation, there's really 5 reasons that I want you to develop your leadership philosophy. Number 1 is developing your leadership philosophy helps you tell your story. Nothing moves people like stories. And again, we're going to show you a framework. You're going to walk away from this experience with a framework for telling your story to people you work with, people who are above you, people who are your teammates, and people who report to you. Secondly, I used to work with a gentleman named Gordon. He was a district manager and a regional manager. And one of the things I heard him say has always stuck with me. He said, you know, Derek, as a leader of a regional enterprise, you always want to establish your footprint. And what Gordon meant by that was, as a leader, you don't want everyone to be like you, but you do want to make sure that what you believe, what your standards are so crystal clear that no matter where you are or what you're doing, your people know how to carry out the footprint that you've outlined for them. Now, here's a big one. The next key to developing your leadership philosophy is what I call it helps you accelerate change. What does that mean? Generally, what I've seen is when a person moves up a notch, right? And most people, if you're watching this program, if you're taking your time to do this program, you're a person who's looking to be promoted, who's looking to move up. Well, what I've seen is that oftentimes when people move up and they go to the next level, it takes them a while to get everybody engaged, to help everybody understand their point of view. Well, by crafting and crystallizing your leadership philosophy, we found that it actually speeds up how quickly you can help people get on board. It speeds up how well people understand you and why you do the things you do, why you believe the things you believe. Next, developing your own leadership philosophy is going to help you connect with other people. At the end of the day, I believe that the whole notion of relationship capital comes down to how quickly and effectively can you connect with others. Well, by framing up your philosophy, framing up what you believe about leadership, how you lead, it is going to, again, enable people to quickly understand and see you, not just for what you say, but for what you believe. And then last but not least, someone said this, I don't know who gets the credit for it, but I believe it, and that is, there is no leadership without successors. Meaning, ultimately, leadership is about helping other people lead, right? So if you take those things, tell your story, establish your footprint, accelerate change, connect with others, and help other people lead, you got the word teach. I believe great leaders are great teachers. So by the end of this program, here's what you're going to have. Number one, you're going to have what I would call a toolkit or a treasure chest. You may hear me refer to that throughout. But you're going to have a toolkit or treasure chest that's filled with content, ideas, examples that enable you to inspire and motivate others. Secondly, you're also going to have multiple ways to address different types of learning styles, different types of personalities. And last but not least, I really believe that at the end of this program, you're going to have your own framework, your own philosophy, and it'll be so crystal clear to you that I think it's going to position you to win. So I'm excited to be working with you, and I can't wait to see what happens.